So good morning. Hope everybody's doing well today. In Facebook world, good morning. In the Zoom world, good morning. Thank you so much for being part of it today. My name is Zevan. We do this every Monday through Friday, 8:15 to 8:30ish or so. Very fortunate. Business coach, life coach, real estate agent, and more importantly, dad. Dad role has been pretty heavy this summer, and so needless to say, nothing different. Yesterday was a little bit of a challenging day. We're going to talk a little bit about that here very shortly. But just thank you so much for taking time this morning to be a part of us, to be able to be on here this morning as we have these opportunities to start off our day in a positive mindset. Then we get into some real estate, some maybe some role play, some conversations, whatever that might look like. And we'll go from there with that. So the topic this morning that I chose, for those that are on my Facebook, I gotta look at my phone here, is when we talk about victim or victor. In my post that I did this morning talks about this, and here's the quote that I said this morning. Every test in our life makes us bitter or better. Every problem comes to break us or make us. The choice is ours, whether we become a victim or a victor. And to me, when I read that this morning, I was just opening up the chats. Good morning. When I read that this morning, I needed to hear that really, really badly today. And the reason why is I share with a lot of you, I am transparent across the board of some of the challenges that I face. A lot of times people say, "Oh, Brock, it looks like you got your life together. Everything's really wonderful and everything else." Yesterday was a true test of that. I was talking to several buddies of mine, and either I was venting or airing my challenges that I had, because just like any human being, you have to be able to air it out, and you can't marinate on it and go into victimhood. And I share these stories with you, and they're small little stories, but a little bit of my day yesterday, like from 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 12:30, my day was very challenging. And part of my day, when it comes time to victim or victor, why this spoke to me was because yesterday I found out that the attorney I'm using decided that she is pulling out of being an attorney. And the firm that I was using for my divorce doesn't want to take my case. As well as I have a court date in front of a judge in 12 days. So it was very deflating at that moment that took place. And I now have to start from the beginning. We all know my why, right? We all know my kids are a very important part of it. So then the next thing that I had to face was I have my daughter with me, and she's 9 years old, and she's all in her soccer gear, and she's got her cleats on and her shin guards on. And we go to Davidson College to do the camp. And I get down to the camp, and I'm about to just drop her off because, that's what I normally do, is they say to me, "I'm sorry, we don't have a girls' camp this week." I'm like, "Excuse me?" "Yeah, we don't have a girls' camp this week, but we'll refund your money." That's nice and everything, but money is not going to take care of the conversation I now have to have with my 9-year-old daughter right here. Needless to say, she cried. It was a very, very challenging conversation. It was not a fun ride home. And I was devastated because I couldn't control the moment, because I like to control everything. So after we get through that ordeal, I then have to figure out what I'm, because she's in camp. So now I'm in victim mode again, because I'm like, well, what the hell? What am I going to do? Like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with her. And, her mother was already at work. And so I'm trying to find another camp, and I'm still trying to work. And now I was telling Greg, who's at the office, I was just like, I did not have this in my schedule today. This completely throws me off. So we finally had to find another camp and go through this. Then I had about 4 other challenges throughout my day in the real estate world that took place. And we got some challenges that we're dealing with in New York, and I'm dealing with some stuff with coaching, and I'm taking on this other business on the commercial side of a venue that I'm working with Wendy. And that is like a huge project, and all this stuff is coming on me. And then there was this moment that I had that was the breaking moment of me, because for those that are separated or have kids, when your children cry, it is the hardest thing. And Bryce cried last night as he was going to bed because he wanted to sleep with me. And it was the hardest thing to have a conversation. I can almost break down now, because here it is. My daughter cried in the beginning of the morning. My son's crying at the end of the day. I have zero control over the news that I was shared with today. Most of the stuff I could not control. It was outside my circumstances. And before I went to bed, I had several conversations with people, because you have to refill yourself up. And why I say victim versus victor, there's a very small line of success when it comes to victim versus victor. Because how easy is it to stay in victim mode in that very moment? And I was deflated. I started the day, it continued, and I just kept moving. I just knew that, like, just don't stop, just keep doing what you're doing. That's what I kept telling myself every hour. And then when Bryce cried, that was really, really hard. But I knew that if I surrounded myself with the right people who gave me their powerful prayers, they gave me important ingredients, they allowed me to vent to them, they allowed me to have conversations throughout the day, it kept me in check. It kept me in a better position to stay out of that victimhood, because I tell you guys many times, it's easy to get off the exit. I think they have more exits for victim and negative town than they have anything else. Actually, I know they do. And at the end of the night, I prayed and I said, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. And I just asked for endurance. Because the strength part is when God says, hey, you asked for strength. I can't make your life easy, so I got to give you challenging things for you to overcome. And part of me is like, okay, I wasn't really expecting this. But now it's not the strength part, because I got it, because I got through the day. The part comes into line for endurance, to be able to withstand this, to be able to keep going. Because as many times as Eric Thomas says, the storm might last a day, it might last 3 days, it might last 3 months. And for my situation, it's lasting 3 years, and I don't think it's done yet. I know it's not done yet. So it's easy to get down to that. And I share these personal stories with you, not to feel bad for me. Because the one person I was talking to, I was like, I can't make this stuff up. Let me just tell you what my day was. And he kind of chuckled. He goes, you're right. You can't make this stuff up. And I can't. But what I can do is to help other people on this call, to help other people who are watching this video, to understand that I too am alive today. I'm perfectly fine. I went to the gym today. I'm actually flying out to Detroit this afternoon. I'm very honored and blessed to have Brooke and Aaron, who are taking care of me, as well as they are taking Wendy, and we're going up to Detroit. Yes, it's a 24-hour turnaround, but like, that's an opportunity that I'm blessed to be able to have, because if I was in victim mode, I could easily call them up and say, hey, I'm really sorry. I can't come today, or I'm not going to be able to come this week. You don't understand my challenges. You don't understand what I got going on. No. In that very moment, that's the growing moment. In the very moment when people say, oh, Brock, you're lucky. Oh, let me just tell you. No, there was zero luck yesterday. Zero. But what I can tell you is, how do you keep moving forward? So whatever challenges you got in front of you, just know you will get through it, but you got to keep going and not stop and not create excuses and not woe is me and not get in a victim mode, and just suck it up and move forward. When many people say to you, well, how do you do that? I don't know. I just did it. There's no magical formula. I can't say go to page 27 of like the owner's manual of life. It's digging deep inside and be like, I got this. I just got to keep going. Give me endurance, God. Help me out. because this too shall pass. Next year at this time in August, on July 26th, we'll all be here. I know it. And we'll have conversations and say, remember that time period? I probably won't even remember it because it's an emotion that I'm carrying with me today that won't be with me probably in 2 months from now. So I carpentalize, I can't even say that word, carpentalize it, whatever that word is, you guys all know. And I just put it into, I'm like, okay, let me just put this in my drawer. I'll put it back and I'll get back at it later. So you have to understand. Yes, Christian, thank you. At some point, you have to just make a decision to do. There's no way around it. You just do it. That's why I love that video of Art Williams. You just do it. And that's the decision you have to make. So hopefully I'm able to help some of you on here. If you're watching the recording, Facebook Live, Zoom, whatever it is that you got in your life, I promise you, it's all going to work out. The storm will pass, and some of the storms will last a lot longer than you want them, but that's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's making you into the person you need to become. So hopefully you'll be able to help somebody else out. All right, guys, that's what I got today. That was my little pitch between victim and victor. And I declared myself a victor yesterday, and I will each and every day moving forward. So that being said, Christian, thank you for your sharing. If anybody has any comments in the Facebook world, please feel free to write them down. So anybody have something they would like to share with me? We got a couple more minutes here in reference to either maybe a challenge they're facing, a role play they want me to do. I put out there this morning, there's 18 expireds. The 18 expireds are just once again telling you like the market is shifting. The owner of our company posted something on how the market is shifting. Guys, it is happening, but whatever it is that somebody wants to talk about, oh, thank you, Sherry. I appreciate that. She shared something that in these moments, you're on the verge of something great. So thank you so much for your positive words on that. And good morning to you. So does anybody have something they would like to present, share, role play, something I can hammer out real quick for them? I'm going to challenge you, for those that are on here this morning, I'm going to challenge you to understand what your goals are. I want you to write down, like, what are you going to do in August? Okay? I want you to tell me what it looks like in a measurable amount. Then I'm going to tell you to go in an uncomfortable position, because a lot of you here can go on your notebook, and I see some of you got your notes in front of you, and I can share this with you. Be like, okay, write down how many listings you want to take this month, and I want you to write down how many buyers you want to take out, or whatever that might be for you. Okay, and you're going to go and you're going to do that. But here's the thing: what I want you to do, I want you to tell somebody what you're going to do. Because just like a New Year's resolution, you can tell, or you could say, I'm going to lose this much weight, or I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. But when it becomes reality is when you tell somebody what you're about to do and you hold them accountable. Now, I'm going to give anybody that's on this call here today, so I appreciate you being on here. For those that listen throughout the recording to entirety, if you want, text me and tell me what your numbers are, and I will hold you accountable to that. Tell me what it is that you want, and we will also go through a 5-3-1 to be able to showcase and say, okay, what are your goals? What are your strategies to get to this one goal? Those are the 3 things, and the 5 activities that we're going to do to be able to get to your one goal. So for mine is always 7 listings. So when I get to 7 listings, how does that work? How many for sale by owners? How many expireds am I going to call? How many door knocking am I going to do? What does that look like in my sphere of influence? What have I got going on? Part of my goal this month in August is to be able to set up dinners and coffees. And my goal is to be able to do 10 of them. Okay, so I broke down Tuesday nights and Thursdays. Tuesday nights are the nights that I'm asking people to go out to dinner. Thursday nights I'm doubling up and doing 2 coffees or a snack, I call it. So those are the things that I'm doing. That's 3 times a week. That's 12 is my goal, but I'm really trying to get to 10 is my gap there that I have. But to me, that's reasonable. And so those are some of the things that I'm doing to increase my sphere of influence conversations to be able to have that. Well, if you don't have a sphere of influence conversation or a sphere of influence, you need to spend more time on talking to people you don't know if that's the business model and that's what the goals that you want to get are. So listen, guys, I want you. Oh,
I'm good. I've been listening, man. It's all good. And I don't really have a question or anything, but I think that what you said about, like direction and all of that is very important, especially when things don't go your way. And then, we get into that mindset that it's like a downward spiral. And so I guess really maybe I do. It's like, so when you were dealing with this yesterday, with these challenges that you didn't expect, how did you, what did you do to bring yourself back up to where you feel normal that this is what you're doing today in real estate? How do you make that shift?
So good question. In all honesty and being transparent, I never did. It stuck with me all day. I couldn't shake it. There's just certain things that when they hit you, they hit you. And then when it was so all I do at that point is I get to the discipline mindset and I just go through the motions. And I feel that I can do it it's for those that know me, like I gave it 120%. And that was the thing that Pamela shared with me this morning on my conversations that I had. And one of the things I learned from Kobe Bryant is he had all these championships and everything else that he did. But I guarantee you, if I was to ask Kobe, what would you do differently knowing your situation? Now, I know that sounds extreme, but just bear with me. I guarantee you he probably would say, I wish I spent more time with my family. Maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. But I'm just saying that's what I would think. And so I gave 120% to my family, to my relationships, and to my work. So I'm constantly at an extreme high level. So when you ask the question, in myself, I know I wasn't given 120% yesterday. I was probably given maybe 80 or 90%. In my mind, what motivated me was I still felt that was a higher percentage than normal society. Whether you want to call it ego or not, it's up to you. That's just how I operate, to be able to stay at a very high level that people would see me, they would probably say I didn't even notice anything. And that's kind of my goal, is to be able to say, just get through the day, Brock. And sometimes it's intense where I say certain things to myself to be able to, freaking Brock, get through the damn day, bud. You're going to be fine. You're not even going to remember this a year from now. So I do a lot of self-talking. I listen to the music of things when I'm driving. I was picking up Brielle, and then we went to Target. We got her a book bag. We got her different school supplies. That made me feel good. But it's what I did to know that I wasn't giving 120%, but I wasn't going to give less than 50%. That's what I told myself. I'm like, I got to be able to move forward. And that's where the discipline comes in. Let me get back to my computer. Let me do my calls. I mean, I was working until about 7:30 last night. We're doing stuff on this other business. And so I try not to create excuses inside my head, and I don't stop. Eric Thomas says, you don't stop when you're tired, you stop when you're done. And I had my to-do list, and I wasn't going to stop until I was completely done my to-do list. And then just when I think I'm good, then Bryce cried right before he went to bed. So then I was like, oh boy, I'm just going to bed so I can start my due day tomorrow. So hopefully that might answer, or at least share with you, my vulnerability of what happened to me yesterday and how I got through it. All right. So, excuse me. For Facebook world, thank you so much for being on here. Hopefully you were able to pull something out of this and to be able to understand that, sometimes in life we go through storms, and I'm just very blessed to be able to continue to move through it. Thank you so much for being a part of us. Remember, you're always able to join us on Zoom. It's in the link. It's on my Facebook. It's on that Brock Zevan's Mindset Motivation group on Facebook. Feel free to post something, ask questions, involve yourselves in that. Same with Zoom. Make sure you guys are using that Facebook post. So in Facebook world, thank you so much. We're going to sign off. And